We have 25% tariffs that were set under President Trump's first term. I don't hear a single word, not a single word about those tariffs. No consumers in America, those were set in 2017 and 2018. No consumers in America sit here complaining about those tariffs.
Well, prices have gone up for lots of reasons.
Oh, no. Don't talk about the Biden inflation. That's another whole gig. When President Trump in 2019 had the lowest inflation in history.
That's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick shutting down CNN's Dana Bash and her tired talking points, proving once again that establishment media has no clue how tariffs actually work and no defense for Biden's economic failures. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like Dana Bash is the latest member of establishment media to embarrass herself trying to dunk on Trump's America First agenda. This time it's over tariffs. But thankfully, Lutnick wasn't having it, and what followed was a lesson in why Trump's trade policies are working exactly as planned. Here's Lutnick shutting her down.
As you know, the cost of tariffs are paid by American consumers. We've been talking about this. So should Americans be prepared?
I disagree with that, you know.
Well, okay. But most economists, I would say, disagree with you on that. And we have seen it being passed off time and time again to the American consumer. But regardless of that, just on the policy, this is what I want to ask you about. Is the 10% tariff that we're seeing in the framework for the UK going to be in place for the foreseeable future?
So we do expect a 10% baseline tariff to be in place for the foreseeable future. But don't buy the silly arguments that the U.S. consumer pays. Businesses, their job is to try to sell to the American consumer. And domestically produced products are not going to have that tariff. So the foreigners
so who's going to eat the tariffs?
Finally have to compete. They're going to have to compete. What happens is the businesses and the countries primarily eat the tariff. America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam. Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade.
You know, you'd figure that the pretend journalists and establishment media would get the memo about their tired narrative that tariffs are just a tax on the American consumer. Because as Lutnick points out, American-made products don't carry tariffs. It's foreign companies that have to lower their prices to compete. That's the whole point. And the results speak for themselves. Trump's recent deal with China cut tariffs by 115 points after forcing China to drop their tariffs on US goods to just 10%. Companies like Walmart and smaller American manufacturers are reshoring production, bringing jobs back home. And let's not forget, tariffs generated $79 billion in revenue last year, putting that money to work for Americans, not China. So no, tariffs aren't a tax on consumers. They're a strategic tool to protect American workers and make foreign countries finally pay their fair share. Here's Lutnick bursting CNN's bubble by pointing out why they're more important now than ever.
Tell me if this is wrong, that a lot of the goods that Americans are used to either buying or, getting easily will either be more expensive or hard to get. We're talking about beach chairs, swimsuits, picnic supplies, fireworks. Is this something that Americans just need to understand is going to be harder to buy?
Well, I think, look, the Chinese and our representatives are meeting now. So, let's just leave what's possible with China to what happens on Monday, Tuesday, and next week. But the rest of the world is open for business, right? Remember, we have a low tariff on the rest of the world while we negotiate. But our expectation is that these countries are going to open their markets, their tariffs are going to come down, the ability for us to export and grow our economy is going to be better than ever before. That's why President Trump talks about a golden age. Of course, all these countries are going to come come and sell their products to us. Of course, we're going to have our shelves full of wonderful products made around the world, but we're going to make sure on their shelves that American products are finally given the fair treatment that they deserve. And I think what people forget is that we have been locked out of economy after economy after economy, and President Trump is going to break down those barriers and let us sell. Imagine this. If we can let other countries accept our standards, then our small businesses can sell online to foreign purchasers. I mean, imagine we're not allowed to do that now. It's just not fair trade, and President Trump is on trying to make it fair trade.
You've got to love how Lutnick wasn't about to let Bash once again try to rewrite history here. He reminded her that Trump's first-term tariffs were already in place, and inflation was at record lows. Nobody was complaining then because Trump's policies were working. It wasn't until Biden's reckless spending and economic mismanagement that prices skyrocketed. He also explained why tariffs still matter. They force foreign companies to cut prices and protect American jobs. And with Trump's latest deal, China's already blinking. They lowered their tariffs while Trump kept just enough in place to keep the pressure on. But you wouldn't know that by watching establishment media act like paying a little more for American goods is the end of the world. Which is ironic because these are the same people who tried blaming Americans for inflation and suggested you skip breakfast and eat cereal for dinner to save money in an economy they insisted was good because Biden was in the White House. But let me know what you think. Are tariffs helping or hurting America? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.